Hey, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're the Rambling Reviewers.
And today we're looking at Star Trek Discovery, the first
two
part.
episodes.
I think I saw 3 or 4. Let me go.
Okay.
You gave me the DVD. That's great. And I saw the opening. We already had so many ideas about. You've seen the whole first season, right?
Yes.
But just the beginning is already got my mind a whirl on all the stuff that could have been different.
I say we should have opened this earlier.
I am talking slowly while
Why
I
are you
look up the list of the things. Okay, I definitely saw the first 2.
Okay, so the first 2 episodes are The Vulcan Hello and Battle at the Binary Stars. Admittedly, I first saw this one a little while ago, so yeah.
Okay, look, I saw it to the point where she gets on the Discovery and finds out about this plan to make a super warp. So let's call it episode 3 or 4.
Okay, so the Vulcan Hello starts out with the person who will no doubt be a part of many future episodes, Philippa Georgiou and Michael Burnham. And yes, both of those are women. Philippa Georgiou is played by the ever-wonderful Michelle Yeoh, and I don't know who plays Michael.
That's okay, just call her Michael.
Okay, well, anyways, they're wandering around a desert after saving a pre-warp civilization by shooting into a well with a laser gun.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, this is a violation of the Prime Directive, but I'm okay with this sort of violation of the Prime Directive, as long as no one knows what you did, and so as not to, accidentally create a new religion, like they did in Star Trek Into Darkness, when...
I remember they used a super refrigerator on a volcano.
Yeah,
they called it cold fusion, which is not how fusion works at all, but anyway.
Yeah, no. Also, no. Anyway, so then they decide to walk around in the desert until it forms a massive Starfleet insignia, and that allows their ship to beam them up.
Yes, which is kind of clever, and at the same time, I'm confused. Does the ship know where they're supposed to be or not?
Also, wouldn't it have been easier to just shoot your gun in the air?
And wouldn't it have been easier to shoot your gun in the air?
Oh, darn, I was hoping you had something else.
No, okay.
But, in a few years, they're going to have sensors on board the Enterprise that will be able to tell when phasers are discharged inside of the hull. And you think in a pre-warp...
Wait a minute. Setting off a phaser inside the actual ship has got to be closer range than on planet compared to orbit.
Okay, but yes, but...
There's a small difference in size there and scale.
But given how Star Trek sensors can pinpoint the location of something from light years away, down to their species in some cases... Yeah,
it's kind of vague, is what we're saying.
This is a pre-warp planet. You should be able to detect where, a high-energy source is located. Unless they used up all the battery, in which case, fair enough. But there should be a better justification for why they needed this.
In general, this whole thing is going to suffer from compression. And I feel like you could have done a whole episode of them, figuring out how to get onto this planet without the natives noticing. Maybe a stricter reading of the Prime Directive actually tells them not to go down at all, and the two of them are cowboy cop enough to be like, oh, it's cool, we'll find a way to do it that's sneaky enough, and we have a slightly different interpretation of the Prime Directive.
Which would have been good. I've always interpreted the Prime Directive as we shouldn't interfere in the affairs of cultures that don't have warp power, or in the internal matters of other civilizations, but only to a certain extent.
Right. There was that one TNG episode where they did interfere to save a whole race, and then just wiped everybody's memory afterwards. And I was like, okay, so you guys have limits to that.
Yeah, and sometimes, if it becomes inevitable that you're going to be discovered, let them be discovered.
Yeah, instead of, getting yourselves shot and whatever. Okay, now we're going to debating the whole Prime Directive. Point is, they're on this mission. It goes by pretty quick. They save people by shooting a well. Because reasons. And then they get picked up by their ship, which is not the Discovery. It's that other one. It's an older ship that I don't care what it was called.
Anyways, so what happened? we learn that basically Michael Burnham is Philippa Georgiou's protege.
And her first mate, so it works
Yes.
well. Yeah.
Also a science officer too? I'm not sure about that one.
I thought, what's his name? The tall dude was a science officer.
Oh, never mind then.
He was like the cowardly Vulcan, as it were.
No, okay. We're also introduced in this scene to Saru, whose species is a race entirely of prey creatures. Although for some reason he still has eyes in a binocular fashion.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean,
Makes no
I like
sense.
Discovery, it just has flaws. I mean, I get that this is for the sake of the actor, but you couldn't mocap him into something?
It would be pretty hard to read the expressions off a creature with non-binocular eyes.
Yeah, that's kind of... Wow, it would have been a new and interesting experience. Something that Star Trek has been saying that they should do for I don't know how many years.
All right.
Yeah, so we're introduced to Saru and some of the other people, and we're sure to have plenty of adventures with these guys in the future. We won't.
Well, Saru shows up later, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I'm just mocking the fact. Okay. Anyways, so they're... God damn it, I don't remember.
Look, the names of the
Shenzo. The
Shenzo.
ship is the Shenzo. Okay. So, the Shenzo, which is the ship that everyone's on right now, goes to find a damaged interstellar relay in deep space and discovers an unidentified object. And they can't tell what's wrong with it. There's some sort of distortion in the area. Saru, being a coward, and by the way, that's not me insulting him.
That's his hat. That is his thing. Saru is the cowardly guy, and I was like, so why is he third in command on this starship?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
I'm not.
a little weird.
Maybe there should be like a different. Maybe you don't have to. I understand Starfleet is all about pacifism and about talking things out. But I'm thinking that maybe there should be, a third option between James T. Kirk and... I might get a paper cut if I touch that book!
Especially when we don't have anything else to characterize him by. Because, again, compression. You don't have much time to learn the rest of Saru and why he's important, and it just... That guy's the kind of the scaredy cat. All right, moving on.
Yep. So they start looking at it, and eventually Michael goes out in a spacesuit to take a look at it, despite the fact that it has like super radiation and it will basically microwave her DNA.
Unfortunately, although they have spaceships, they do not have probes for some reason.
No, they have probes. They just stopped. The probes stopped working.
For some reason.
The radiation.
But space. Okay, but why would the radiation screw up the probe and not the spacesuit? Put the probe inside of a spacesuit, and it will apparently be immune.
Yeah, fair enough. That is kind of silly. Admittedly, it's been a little while since I've seen this.
Some of these problems that we solved, we just weren't dealing with Starfleet. Instead, had like some more normal people with a normal ship that didn't have the latest stuff. Okay, granted, the Shenzo is actually an older ship. They mentioned that.
Okay. Anyways, and Michael goes out to check this place out.
And she gets through the cloaking field and finds on the other side a giant space lighthouse type of thing.
It's a ship, the Klingon ship of the dead. Although this brings up an interesting question. Why the fuck do the Klingons have a cloaking shield?
Oh, that's right. They got it from the Romulans later on.
Yeah.
They screwed up the canon.
Okay, well, admittedly, the Romulans did have a cloaking... The Romulans did have a cloaking device as early as Star Trek Enterprise. That being said, I have no idea how they had a cloaking shield as early as Star Trek Enterprise. And...
Just because that's too advanced, or there's some canon reason why they can't have one of that?
Canon reason. In the very first episode with the Romulans in the original Star Trek, which I can't remember which episode it is, god damn it. Anyways, in that episode, they say that this cloaking device is a new invention.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Enterprise was significantly before that.
Yeah, it's 100 years before that, so...
Oh, geez, yeah, that's plenty of time.
Yeah.
A new old invention.
They used to... one of the supplemental comic books they have, which I actually have over in my room, is explained that the reason why the Klingons now had cloaking devices was because in the wake of the Organian interference in Errand of Mercy, which said, whichever side starts this fight, we will end it.
Sorry, who are we talking about?
The Organians. They're from the episode Errand of Mercy, which I'm going to show you later.
They're a different
They're a
species.
third party that got involved in the attempted war between the Klingons and the Federation. Although, actually, their interference does make more sense once you see the rest of the season, so...
Okay.
Like
well,
a little bit.
I gotta go watch the rest of the season now.
Anyways, the reason why the Romulans gave the Klingons the cloaking device was as a trade for Klingon ship designs, which were much better than the Romulans, which is kind of clear even in the TNG era, because one of the Dededrix classes, the big, huge green Romulan ships, that's way bigger than the Enterprise, and yet would lose in a one-on-one fight.
Big and flashy, but doesn't get anything done.
Exactly. So that was the reason why the Klingons had the cloaking device, but this is 10 years before that episode, so I don't even know what the hell, or given that, wait, who's the guy who, T'Kuvma is this Klingon prophet who runs the Klingon Ship of the Dead and has the cloaking device, and he's all about Klingon species purity. In fact, one of his first lines is how bad it is that the humans exist because they seek to undermine everything that is Klingon because they're open and friendly and wish to learn and influence people to their way of thinking. Which, that has been a criticism of Star Trek for a long time, that humans seem mostly open, but to species that seem most like them.
I suppose. I mean, for makeup purposes, if nothing else, it's much easier to deal with.
But like in terms of cultures, like I don't know, it's much more rare to see a Starfleet officer offer the hand of peace to a species that is like horribly monstrous and offering to devour the souls of 10,000 people.
It's pretty hard to make peace with those people, I'll tell you.
Okay, yes, but they considering that Starfleet's...
I mean, I don't know. This, again, comes back to compression, because I would have loved... Having watched these first two episodes, right? I thought to myself, this is not the season opener. This is the season finale. This is the stuff that would happen after we spent time with all these characters. I've gotten to know them. Spoiler alert, Michael's going to pull a mutiny, and that would be a bigger deal if I'd spent more than an hour with these people before it happens. And we'd have more time to establish what Kuvma's deal is and why he hates the Federation so much, because they haven't done shit.
Yeah, I mean...
You know, if he blamed them for some catastrophe or something, it would make more sense. You know?
Now, there is the argument to be made that the last time we saw Klingons interacting with the Federation was with Jonathan Archer.
And what did he do, shoot them?
He was Jonathan Archer. Jonathan Archer is terrible.
Oh, is he?
He's captain of the...
I remember he's the captain of... I don't know.
It's just there's a lot of people that don't like that series, so they basically blame him for everything wrong in the Quadrants.
I hear what was especially wrong with Enterprise is that they recycled ideas from previous Star Trek shows.
Oh, they absolutely did.
The thing is, for me, I've only seen smatterings of previous Star Trek shows and not like all the way through, so Enterprise didn't seem, so repetitive to me. So when I saw it seemed like reasonably new.
Well, it also helped that he was an idiot and arrogant, and quite a lot of problems were wrong with Jonathan Archer.
All right, we gotta watch that series now.
Another problem is that the Klingons here, they look more like orcs than they do Klingons.
Huh.
I mean...
We're talking Warhammer 40k orcs, or like...
Lord of the Rings orcs. Or at least something that's not Klingon. They look more like Jem'Hadar, honestly.
That's a better comparison.
They look more like Jem'Hadar than they do Klingons, which is especially galling because in 10 years, we're going to see in episodes like Errand of Mercy and stuff, that Klingons look basically the same as humanity.
Until TNG, when they have a virus that makes them look different again.
No, that was back in Enterprise.
Wait. Back in Enterprise they look... Wait.
Okay.
When did they have the forehead ridges?
They had them in the first part of Enterprise until there was an episode where the Klingons tried to make a virus to upgrade themselves and turn them all into augments like Khan Noonien and Sung.
Okay, and that made them look more humanoid.
No, that killed them.
Well, how did the guys lose their forehead ridges?
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
They lost their forehead ridges because in order to fix the virus, the cure, got rid of the Vorhead ridges.
Oh, okay.
It was a side effect, but that explained why, back in the original series, all the Klingons looked like humans on the outside.
Right. And of course, there was really just a makeup issue. But like, yeah, okay, I'm like, oh, there's a story for that.
Except now we have these guys that look spikier than the Jem'Hadar. God, it must take these guys like hours, days in makeup just to do the simplest thing. And dear God, the Klingon language, what did they do to you?
I mean, are you saying they mispronounced it and stuff?
No, it's so slow now.
Okay, that's
it's
true.
Like, Mukajubidada. I'm not even saying Klingon words, but it's that cadence.
Yeah.
It's like takes 5 minutes to say a single sentence.
You're right.
Whereas you hear in TNG and Deep Space Nine and even Voyager and even Enterprise, it's a quick guttural language. It's meant to sound like the barking of the dogs of war. But so it's like quick. Motak. Kind of barks, kind of quick.
Yeah, that's definitely got more energy to
Or
it.
at least, bare minimum, it sounded like it went about the same speed as human speech.
Yeah.
Oi, killes puklod, oi, bukbek pu. Yeah, okay, I can't do the rest of it, but that's an actual song they were singing, and it goes faster than the speech of Takuma and his disciples. And all of the Klingons are like this in this series.
Yeah, it would be easy if it was just Takuma. Maybe as a prophet, he likes talking that way. But it got annoying after a while. Even actually in his initial speech, I started thinking like, okay, Mr. Director, I know it's cool to hear the actual language of the Klingons, but it's a little distracting having to read all these subtitles.
But we've had 50 years of hearing the language of the Klingons. We don't care that it's on the screen for the first time in who knows how many years.
That too.
Guess what? It's still the language of the Klingons. We know how this is supposed to work.
Because, well, most of the time, when you had, like, Worf hanging out on the Klingon home world, is that just also called Klingon?
Konos.
Konos. Okay, I forgot that.
Or actually, it's Kronos, but it's, like, spelled KOS''NOS.
Anyway, Kronos. There was a TNG bit where he was, like, hanging out with actual Klingons, and they just spoke English to the camera the whole time, almost the whole time. Because it was, like, translation convention, you know, like, whatever. And that's helpful because then you can put emphasis on specific words and, you know, this word with that facial expression and stuff. And you don't get that when the guy's giving a long speech in subtitles.
And it's very slow.
And it's very slow.
I know that I keep harping on that, but it's important because I get bored halfway through the Klingons. And their redesign makes them look 1,000% more villainous, so you wonder why the Federation ever tried to sign a treaty with these guys.
I mean, they don't have a treaty with them yet, actually, in this part of the timeline.
But like less than 50 years in universe, they're going to be signing a treaty at Khitomer.
Yeah, true. Well, that was when they looked cooler.
They looked more human, but they also looked more reasonable. I mean, there's a reason why human heads are smooth in real life. It's so that it's easier to pass through the birth canal. Dear God, just like it must
the issues we bring up on this show.
Giving birth to a Klingon must be like pushing a pineapple out through there, or one of those spiky fruits. Dear God, why would you design a species like this?
I don't know.
The makeup just looks awful.
I wouldn't say it looks bad,
No,
actually.
it looks like they tried too hard.
That might be the way to put it.
Which, okay, I can accept. One way I can say this makes sense, is that the Klingons went too far in trying to correct their smooth-headedness.
Yeah, like they tried a different drug that like did it all weird, you know. And then
given that it was a human virus that was modified by the Klingons that turned them in smooth-skinned. Yeah, actually, Takuma actually has a point that the humans watered down their genome.
Yeah, wait, he could actually complain about that specific thing. And we could see different Klingons with different levels of makeup that make them look different from each other. And he could be all elitist about being, like, super pure. And he's actually taken purity, like, beyond what Klingons originally looked like. But he's a prophet, okay? He does things all crazy style. Don't question Takuvma.
Yeah, he's a fanatic. He wants war with the Federation.
Right.
Which, admittedly, for Klingons is kind of like, I don't know, I want a toast. I want toast. Just plain
What do you
toast.
want for breakfast? War with the Federation!
Yeah.
Slams his fist on the table.
Okay, but after that. Okay, sweetie, but this is a restaurant. We can't get you that.
No, they have a special just called War with the Federation. It's like the toast is shaped like a Federation soldier being shot at or something.
Wow, that's very intricate. So anyway, but the problem with that is he doesn't explain it like this. He doesn't say, because of the past actions with the humans,
I'm all pissed off. Yeah.
he phrases it like, war with the Federation wants to subvert all Klingons and make us weak, when in fact we Klingons should be strong and united, because right now we're all 24 different warring houses.
It's not even clear if they're warring or just like hanging out.
They're Klingons.
Yeah,
they're warring.
Probably
It's like saying, is that cat going at the catnip? What do you think? Is that meth addict high?
So the Klingons are fighting amongst
That
themselves.
stoner
apparently.
stoned? What do you think?
See, and here again, if we had a whole season on this, we could have seen the warring houses actually at war with each other, and we could have seen, like, Takuvma's family got killed in one of these things or something. I mean, that's a little cliche, but, like, alright, I can see it. Alright, he hates this interwar thing going on, and he'll come up with any excuse to end it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That sounds reasonable, which means they don't do it. Anyways, so Takuma says the worst crime of the Federation is that they come under the banner of lies. We come in peace.
Even though there's no evidence that the Federation has ever been hostile to them. At least none that he mentions.
Not that the Klingons didn't start first, actually.
Well, that too. But even at this moment when they're not fighting, it's not like, aha, I have reason to believe that they're about to invade us in 2 days' time, and so we'll attack first,
Yeah,
one of those
okay,
things.
now it's possible that he wants to just use the Federation as an excuse to unite the Klingon warring houses.
But then you gotta give us more backing as to why he would give a damn, and don't just say he's a prophet. Give us a little more than that. Come on.
Another weird thing about Takuvma, his ship is the Ship of the Dead, which, okay, it's a big-ass starship with heavy weapons, because it's a Klingon ship. Of course it has heavy weapons. But the weird thing is that they strap the bodies of the dead to the outside as a way to honor the dead?
Yes.
That is weird, but not for the reason you think. I mean, okay, yes, that sounds more like something that the Reavers would do from Firefly, but that's not it. See, Klingon belief basically says that once you're dead, the body is garbage. You can just throw that shit away anywhere. I mean, maybe burn it to prevent infection, but the soul goes on to either Sto-vo-kor, the Black Fleet where all the true warriors go. It's basically Space Valhalla. Or they go to Grathor, which is hell. So my question is, what religion does he follow where this is acceptable? Because it's not the main Klingon one, and I'd be interested in hearing more, which we don't, because of course we don't.
Yeah, I would like to see there's a separate offshoot of Klingon religion, but then you're going to have a harder time justifying this guy somehow uniting his entire species, which he somehow does by turning on a space lamp. I mean, it's an epic space lamp, it looks pretty cool, but, like, why would everyone care? And yes, he says there's a prophecy and all this stuff, so it's in their culture or whatever. But, like, so, again, compression. You could have spent the season, or at least half a season, where we're sort of aware the Klingons are out there, and we're not sure what they're up to, and we have a couple interactions with Takuvma, and the audience is informed Takuvma is looking for something, and it turns out that thing is the space beacon, which has been missing for 1,000 years or whatever.
Say it's the Beacon of Kahless.
Yes, I mean, he is specifically mentions Kahless, according to Wikipedia.
Well, that's good, because honestly, if he hadn't mentioned Kahless, I would have given up on this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for new aspects of culture, but Kahless is kind of like the Prophet Muhammad to the Klingons. He is literally the single most important figure in Klingon culture and religion.
Right, so if we had some time, to, people, saying things in the name of Kahless, or making a vow under the name of Kahless, And then it was explained to us that Kahless had this beacon that got lost through a wormhole or something, but prophecy says, well, we'll find it again.
Or hell,
and there's like a clue of trail of clues that Takuma has to follow to go find it, right?
Hell, say it was stolen by the same race that stole the Sword of Kahless in the episode Sword of Kahless from Deep Space Nine.
Oh, who did steal the Sword of Kahless?
I don't remember, and we don't see the race on screen. We just find one of their storehouses.
Okay.
But they came to Kronos and they stole the Sword of Kahless, which is a super important sword because it belonged to Kahless, and then they fled the planet, and I don't know, stuff happened. I can't remember.
Okay.
But anyways, just have that as an explanation. This is a holy artifact of Kahless's.
Yeah. You know what would be cool, too? Is if, and this could easily be like prophecy misread or something, but if there was something in like the writing of Kahless, like maybe some secret holy text that's on board the ship that mentions something about humans suck and you should kill them. Right?
Given the amount of time travel that goes around in Star Trek, I can't even be sure that doesn't exist.
Right, so like that could happen, right? So that could be his thing. He'd be like, look, I've activated the beacon, and I have here the holy words. You can see it. We finally found them after 1,000 years, and it says, kill all humans. And then they turn into freaking green-skinned dudes from Mars, and they kill all humans like that one video game. No. But the point is, there would be more of a reason than just... Takuma found the damn thing, so I guess we have to do what he says now, right?
Right.
And when all the houses are warring with each other anyway, it's like, do they really want to make peace with each other that easily? Do they have a reason to hate the Federation that much? Or another thing you could do is if they thought there was some treasure in Federation territory that we need to go to war with them so we can get that damn like the crown of Kahless.
To be fair, they're Klingons. Going to war for its own sake is kind of in... Hell, Garrick lampshaded this in Deep Space Nine. He said to Worf, "What's the matter? What's the matter, Commander? You're Klingon. You should believe in a little genocide in the name of self-defense." Mind you, Garrick was trying to piss him off, so, it worked. But it's that kind of thing that makes me think that it wouldn't be too hard to push the rest of the houses into war.
I mean,
later
why
on
wouldn't they backstab each other while they do it?
Later on in the series, it is stated that the Klingons are still not united even after this.
Okay.
And that for the most part, the the Great Houses are using this as an excuse to conquer vast swaths of Federation territory in the name of their house.
Okay. It's a little confusing why they weren't doing that already then. But okay, maybe he started off a new front in the war.
I think it's because, individually, the Klingon houses are not matched for the Federation, so if they went on alone against the Federation, they would get a new mud hole stomped in them by either them, or if the other noble houses of the Klingons are as bloodthirsty and fractured as you say, other noble houses could take advantage of your weakness and take your land and stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well,
and it would give them an excuse to do so in a way that the Klingons would approve of. The House of Quark, an episode from Deep Space Nine, showed that there are ways to take over a Klingon's house and money and stuff, but you have to do it the right way, through combat or through other honorable means, as opposed to how this one dumbass did it and tried to, what is it? Oh yeah, basically defraud the whole thing, the other house economically, at which point he would, sweep in, take everything over. And once they revealed he did that, he lost all honor. No, actually, it's because Quark shamed him, but Quark revealed his dishonor.
Okay. So yeah, I've always liked the idea of the Klingons as being a culture that's very weird from our perspective, but has an internal logic to it that became interesting to study. Including the bits where people, secretly break the rules because not everyone's quite as honorable as they like to pretend they are. But that's realistic, too. Not everyone always obeys the rules in our culture, either.
Yeah, so they
could have more time to explore all that and, make it more clear.
So, anyways, back to where we were 20 minutes ago. Michael discovers the Barge of the Dead, the Barge of the Dead is something else. The Ship of the Dead.
These are two different things, right? The beacon and the Ship of the Dead.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, okay. So she discovers the beacon first, doesn't she? She lands on it just as the torchbearer is about to do his torch thing.
Yeah, I think so.
And then, accidentally bumps into him and kills him. on purpose bumps into him, accidentally kills him, more or less.
Anyway, so Michael goes back, gets some medical treatment for radiation, because in Star Trek that's a thing you can just take care of on an outpatient basis.
Pretty much. She was like asleep for 3 hours.
And then she goes and she calls up Sarek, who we later learn is her adoptive father.
And is also Spock's dad, it turns out, because I'd forgotten that. So that is another plot hole that... Why doesn't she know Spock on a first-name basis? Spock ever mentioned her ever again?
Okay, I pointed out to you earlier that that's canonical, that Spock doesn't like talking about his family. He never once mentioned to Jim Kirk, his best friend, that, oh, by the way, my mom's human, and my dad is the ambassador of Vulcan to the Federation, which would be kind of a big deal, and oh yeah, I have a brother, which are all canon in Star Trek. So him not mentioning a sister is just another thing he just doesn't mention.
Yeah, well, there's still no good reason for him not to mention it. I could see his dad if he just hates his dad, but, like, why didn't he ever bring up that sister? Why didn't the sister bring up him, is the other part of that. Why don't we ever see them in the same room together?
Okay, with the sister thing, so, Jim, I have a sister. Is she hot? Never mind.
No.
Yeah, I think Spock would have considered that.
But even so, like, Michael's not gonna make reference to Spock or call Spock up or any of that stuff.
Not really.
It was kind of neat what they're doing, by the way, because
actually, they do kind of explain it. It's because it's Sarek's, like, biggest failure from his point of view, which I'm like, really? Because you couldn't have somehow tried to jimmy that stick out of Spock's ass at some point? What, I'm saying Spock has a stick up his ass.
I'm pretty sure Sarek is the king of that territory, but point is okay, moving on.
Okay.
Point is, she calls up Sarek and she's like, hey, how do we deal with Klingons? And he's like, look, the thing with Klingons is you have to shoot them every time you see them. That will earn their respect. That's how the Vulcans did it. By the way, aren't the Vulcans part of the Federation?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's with that? Because aren't we already at peace with the Klingons, and we already earn their respect? But I guess not Starfleet specifically earn the respect, just the Vulcan half of the Federation earn the respect?
I think the Vulcan part of it, maybe, but I think that operates under the assumption that, like, a government, the USSR is not the same government as Russia today. I mean, despite, political joke deleted. No, the Russian bots got to us too. They deleted my jokes.
No. Okay.
As much as some of you might wish that was the case, no.
We're just joking around.
No, but the USSR is not considered the same government as, like, the current government of Russia, or like the government of East. If someone was allied with West Germany after the Berlin Wall fell, does that mean that any alliances?
I mean,
okay, that's not exactly clear.
I don't know. Okay, but the thing is, okay, you have to tell me. Do they also go to war with the Vulcans?
Yes.
Okay, well, at least that part makes sense. Because if it was very specifically, it was just the humans, the Vulcans were like, well, too bad. That would be really weird.
Well, sucks to be you, dudes.
Part of the same federation and everything.
Yeah, although I don't really understand how this worked. Because last time I heard, this is basically like walking up to a Klingon and punching him in the face and saying, respect me. How does that not end with your ass smeared over half of the quadrant?
I don't know. Apparently Klingons respected them.
Okay, so let's see. The pointy-eared dudes who keep calling us primitives and barely more than animals just shot us. Well, I guess we respect them now.
It's really...
No, that is stupid.
That is...
That is not an invitation to say, oh, these are strong aliens. That is an invitation to an ass-kicking contest in which the enemy does not have an ass.
Yeah. It would have been nicer if the Klingons, and this would have to contradict Enterprise, but assuming Enterprise had not happened, it'd be nicer if the Klingons were just completely new to the Federation. We just met you today, and there was no previous history with them or the Vulcans or with anybody.
Yeah, well, that didn't happen.
That didn't happen. Also, if you are going to win the respect of Klingons through battle, it would probably involve something impressive where, like, a very small number of your guys killed a very large number of Klingons.
Like in yesterday's Enterprise, when the Enterprise...
Yeah.
The Enterprise C stopped the... or at least held off the destruction of the Khitomer colony which both saved Worf's life and also caused the Klingons to view the Federation as honorable, which helped lead to a new era of peace instead of the war without end that was yesterday's Enterprise.
So we didn't have something cool like that going on here. It was just we shot them every time we saw them.
Yeah. Also, Sarek, this was back in the days when, it was before the Federation. We run under different principles than shoot these guys to make yourself look tough.
I mean, to be fair, Sarek did say this may not be the best advice for the situation. It's just what worked back in the day.
And of course, Michael takes it and decides that opening fire on the Klingons is an invitation to good things.
And they're trying to play it up like, okay, so her whole human family got killed by Klingons. Okay, well, they sure as hell make it look like her whole human family got killed by Klingons.
That's another thing I'm upset about.
And she's traumatized by it. And if we'd spent a good half season on that, we could have built that up more, and it would have felt more dramatic. So the next thing, she basically insists to the captain that we fire first. The captain's like, no. And she's like, please, or the captain, she gets so upset, the captain's like, please meet me in my quarters, or not quarters, my ready room. So she chews her out a bit, and Michael's like, okay, fine, you're right. And then nerve pinches the captain, which is another thing it would have been nice to establish earlier in the... I know enough Star Trek to know what that is, but someone else is going to wander in like, what did you just do? So, nerve pinches the captain, pulls a mutiny, attempts to fire first on the Klingons, right? And this is where it gets really interesting. Because where this is eventually going to go is the Federation and the Klingons are now at war, right? Everyone blames Michael for this. Michael blames herself for this. Other characters blame Michael for this, and the back of the DVD box blames Michael for this. It says, because of her mutiny, there is now a war between the Klingons and the Federation.
Okay, now I admit, I kind of see where they're coming from in that you probably shouldn't shoot at a race of hyper-aggressive space Vikings.
No. Regardless, however, all of those people are acting upon a series of events that did not happen on screen. This is what they seem to think happened. Michael committed mutiny. Michael shot first at the Klingons. The Klingons got all pissed off about that, and then they launched a war. What actually happened is Michael committed a mutiny. Michael tried to shoot first at the Klingons. Her captain woke up out of nerve pinch sleep and interrupted her before she fired any shots at all, and then attempted the peaceful route. And that didn't work, and the Klingons made war anyway. If Michael had never committed mutiny, if Michael had not even been on the spaceship, the war would still have happened at the exact same time in the exact same place. Michael's mutiny changed nothing, and every character and the guy who wrote the back of the box seems to imagine otherwise.
Okay.
Like, what the hell? They could have made it that she gets the shot off first, and then everything else would make sense. But no, she doesn't get the shot off first. Why does everyone pretend like she did? I get that she would still be in trouble with Starfleet for mutiny, but she didn't cause the war. If anything, her plan had a better shot of ending or preventing the war. I mean, maybe it wouldn't have worked, but obviously the peace plan didn't work. They tried it twice over in the same episode, right? Because the captain tries it and they're like, no, war. And then the admiral tries it and okay, yes, peace. Just kidding, war. And so clearly peace was not an option here. So clearly Michael was, if anything, tied and possibly better at figuring out how to deal with the situation. Nobody notices this.
Maybe they're just mad. The Federation does seem kind of cliquey and willing to blame people for things.
Sure.
Maybe it's just that they needed a scapegoat for the war.
I would be happy to run with that plot line, and then Michael could feel kind of resentful that she's been made the scapegoat when she didn't cause this problem. But last I saw her, she felt all guilty. And she's on a redemptive path to try and fix the war that she caused. But she didn't cause it. How hard is it to put this two and two together, writers? Come on.
I'm going to have to see that episode again, aren't I?
Yeah, I'll show it to you. I'll bring it up with the DVD.
God damn it. Yeah, so
anyway, like I said, she actually doesn't fire first on the Klingons, but tried to, and then gets thrown in the brig, and then they try to make peace, and the Klingons are like, screw it, we summoned a whole bunch of ships, and we shot everybody, so they shoot everybody.
Yeah, here's the weird thing. Given Star Trek travel times, Those Klingon ships were already in system when they showed up.
Yeah, it was like a 5-minute wait.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean...
no, okay, though. There was a 3-hour wait. She got back from the radiation poisoning. Did they turn on the beacon then? Because she was asleep for like 3 hours.
I don't...
But
again,
even 3
I
hours...
need to see this again.
Even 3 hours should not be enough to summon all 24 of the great houses.
Maybe they were already on their way there.
For what reason?
They were about to light the beacon?
Oh, what? They had all found it too? That would actually be kind of cool. They're all kind of aware of it.
I meant Takuma summoned them or something, maybe.
I thought the beacon itself was the summoning thing.
Well, okay, fine. It's been a while since I've seen the episode. It came out like over a year ago.
See, this is our problem. All right, we gotta rewatch some stuff.
Yeah, okay. So
then they do a bit where, as I said, the Admiral comes in and then he gets poed. Like, man, the Klingon... That's not even honorable at that point. Like, what the hell, Takuma? To tell the guy... After he himself was annoyed at the Federation for coming in peace when he believes they're actually here for war and he believes wrong, then, when offered peace, he's like, yes, I will take peace. Please wait for my envoy. Because he even talks slow and he speaks English. Then the Admiral's like, okay, we'll do that. And then he's like, ram them with our secret ship. And then he just rams into the Admiral's ship.
Okay, this is dumb on so many levels. First off, why not just, like... shoot them!
Shoot them!
You have invisible starships! Fire like a volley of photon torpedoes up their butts from behind!
Secondly, not honorable, and you're supposed to be a Klingon prophet.
Third, why is it that this is a tactic that's continually used in science fiction? Oh, we have like a zillion options, but the only technique we have is literally the oldest naval combat technique that the Greeks had. Seriously, that's how naval combat used to work. That's where the term ramming speed comes from. They had big metal prows on the front of their ships, and they'd row really fast at other ships and slam into them. Then they'd board the enemy ship and kill everyone on board. That was how naval combat worked back then. It should not apply in a situation where you have faster-than-light drives, unless you're using the Holdo maneuver, in which case that's kind of awesome, but it will make everyone really pissed.
Yes.
But that should not apply when you're attacking a stationary target. Congratulations, you gave up the fact that you have cloaking technology, and you wasted it.
So I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, then...
also you got rid of a perfectly good starship that you could have used against the Federation. But no, now it's going to spend like a year in dry dock where they repair all of the metal fatigue from ramming another goddamn ship.
And that ship actually self-destructs, too, while they ram it.
That's even dumber!
Yeah, you know, we could have avoided that by just shooting him at a distance, Captain. Whatever, I like ramming. Okay, so then they do a bit where, like, all the Federation ships are pretty much out of the fight, and Takuma explains, like, I could kill you, but I will allow you to live so you may spread word of this destruction across the galaxy. At which point, our heroes recognize that the Ship of the Dead is, like, tractor beaming up dead Klingons' bodies, in space.
Oh, God.
So they attach a small bomb, a photon torpedo, I think it was.
Yeah, this is actually against the that's a Geneva Convention violation.
That is.
Yeah, you're not supposed to. Dead bodies are supposed to be left alone. I mean, okay, you can recover them, but you can't.
You can't mine them.
You can recover them, but you can't booby trap dead bodies. That is just.
And you know something? Michael actually brings up the Geneva Conventions by name in like the next episode. So okay. So yeah, they booby trap a dead body and blow. I didn't know how much damage they did to the ship. You didn't really get to see it, but they hit the ship of the dead, and then Michael and the captain beam aboard because I guess they disrupted the shield, so they can do that now. Apparently, they could only beam just the two of them, but there are no red shirts that follow them to the other ship. I know that red shirts seem a little cliche, but they serve an important purpose. They make the story a little more realistic.
Yeah, see, that's why I like the Makos back in Enterprise. Once the ship started getting darker and more, good, they had Makos, which were basically proto-red shirts that were they were Marine armored something or others, and they basically were Space Marines, except not the Warhammer version. More like, I don't know, Sergeant Johnson and that sort of Space Marine from Halo. And they were badass. They were much more efficient. They were more efficient, deadlier, and more impressive than the typical security that you kind of see in Star Trek.
Yeah, well, they didn't have any of those. There's just the captain, the first officer, and nobody else beams aboard. And shoot some Klingons, and apparently they get right close to Takuvma, who ends up killing the captain, and then Michael freaks out and kills him. The initial plan had been to capture him, because for some reason, if you kill him, he becomes a martyr. But if you capture him, that becomes like a bargaining chip to make the Klingons go the hell home, or something. So
Which actually makes sense to me.
Which might make sense, and maybe that could be what she feels guilty about later on, but it's not. It's the whole mutiny thing that didn't actually affect anything. So she gets beamed back against her will by Saru to save her life, and they hightail it out of there. And I guess Takuvma's dead now, but maybe Vok will do something interesting later, because he was an outcast dude who got to be the torchbearer.
He will.
Okay, cool. At least they did something with that character. I don't know what it is yet.
Don't worry, it won't make any sense.
Oh, great. So then, Michael gets sentenced to life in prison, and, the war happens. And then she gets picked up by the science vessel Discovery. They pick her up from a prisoner transport with like 3 other prisoners on board. And they don't take the prisoners to the brig. It was pretty, like, they bring them up to the cafeteria for like lunch. And then they're like, all right, we'll send them back to the brig. I'm like, shouldn't you serve them food in the brig, seeing as they are prisoners, and this whole ship is top secret? You freaking idiots. So, yeah, then basically the captain of the Discovery is like, hey, Michael, you're really good at science, and I need you to help me do this weird sciencey thing with spores. And she thinks he's developing a weapon at first, like, that would be against the Geneva Conventions, so she brings that up. And she's like, she's really interesting how she's like, I'm going to toe the line on this. These are the rules. I'm like, you're the one who committed mutiny. Are you the toe the line type?
Yeah, and even in universe, you consider yourself the one who started a war. Why is now the time you're deciding to stick with the rules?
I mean, maybe she feels guilty about it, but again, why? I don't know. So he explains, no, it's not trying to create a bioweapon. We're trying to create a super warp that would go like 1,000 times faster than regular warp. Incidentally, though, it has some hilarious side effects where it summons monsters that come to eat your face. So we gotta turn that down a little. Turn down the monster knob if you can figure out how to do that.
And before you ask, I have seen the whole season. No, it does not. It's not like 40K where it's opening a rift to the warp and demons spill out. Or any of the other sci-fi universes where that happened. Why is that a thing?
Just a convenient place to spawn monsters from, I guess.
Yeah. I've also seen the... Okay, never mind. You still... I'm not going to spoil that
All right,
part.
fine.
But...
So I've seen that much of it. And, I mean, the show's got polish. The fundamentals are a little off. It's not, like, terrible. But it's just... It could have used more time. And they could have made things make more sense.
There are several problems I have with this show. First off, there's a couple continuity violations, which, yeah. Second off, as Sonic said, it's feels like it's supposed to be from the midpoint of the season or the end of the season instead of this. I mean, here's an idea for the story. We name this something other than Discovery. We name this something else. Anything else.
Well, you could name it Discovery and then pull an interesting bit where you don't meet the Discovery until the second season. I could go with that.
But, like, this ship is just scouting around near the Klingon border where there's been disturbances. And you run into a couple planets where there's ancient ruins of the Iconians or one of the other ancient civilizations that's super prevalent in Star Trek. And Klingons have been spotted on these worlds, and you have to go down there and collect an artifact or something, or try to stop them from getting it. But each time, they're a little too late. It allows for exploration on different worlds. It allows us to see different cultures, get some Star Trek-y stuff in there. But for some reason, the Klingons, it doesn't make sense how they're doing this. They just appear on a planet and they start going around and doing stuff. There's no sign of how they're getting there unless, and they bring this up as a red herring, they found an active Iconian gateway.
Oh, that'd be a cool red herring.
Yeah. And if the Klingons have found an active Iconian gateway, then the whole quadrant is fucked. So they need to hurry up and figure out what they're looking for, especially since they're looking in like these old...
So let me know, does a gateway mean you can just warp anywhere, like a teleporter, or what?
Sort of. It's like walking through a doorway and then you come out...
Is a Stargate like a size of a spaceship Stargate?
It's a bit difficult to describe. The problem is that they never got one... We see only 2 over the course of the series, and they never really get them working right.
Huh.
Because, well, there's no Iconians left, so all of the gates are just set on randomly shifting to anything in the general vicinity.
Okay, so the theory is they found one that they can actually point in a general direction.
Or figure out how to work.
Okay.
In fact, that was the subject of the second one, which is where a group of rogue Jem'Hadar, although I have my suspicions about that, captured Iconian Gateway and decided to use it to take over the galaxy. Though, personally, given what we know about the Jem'Hadar, namely that they are biologically programmed by the Founders to worship the Founders as gods, not to mention their dependency on the drug Ketracel White, I personally think that this was actually a mission to infect Odo with a virus, because it's a thing. Just, there's a lot of stuff going on. But an Iconian Gateway in the hands of the Klingons would be a very bad thing. And a worthy threat to investigate, and would fit in with why they seem to be targeting these ancient alien sites. But then it turns out that it's not Iconian gateways, it's cloaked ships that are just transporting them normally.
Okay, and then in this version of the continuity, they're getting the cloak much previous to that TOS episode where they get cloaks?
Well, technically, I don't know if the Klingons had cloaks in TOS.
Oh, well, they had them as of TNG. So
Yeah.
I thought it was maybe in TOS they acquired them. No, in between, perhaps?
In the comics, it was that they acquired them during the TOS era. I don't know how they actually got it now that they're revealing that they got cloaks much earlier and that the Romulans apparently didn't give it to them. Considering that T'Kuvma is a racial purist, yeah, that doesn't make sense for the Romulans to give it to him. I believe in the purity of my race. Sure, I'll take this alien technology.
That would be...
I mean, hypocritical. And
that'd be kind of cool, is if some of T'Kuvma's subordinates had pulled off this shit without telling T'Kuvma. Like, he thinks they're just being really bold and, like, striking fast and getting out before anyone notices. Yeah. And it's like, oh, actually, we just stole some cloaks from the Romulans. And he's like, what the hell? And he's like...
You had one job. No, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. I said that very wrong. You had one job.
It's like the sloths from Zootopia.
Yes. Which look more like Klingons than these guys do. But let's not bring that up again.
Yeah, so building
Today is a good day to die. Nick.
Wow, that sounds like a really interesting fanfic of some sort.
Oh my god, I would... Yes.
Flash the Killer.
Flash.
Killer Flash.
Flash the Klingon.
Flash the Klingon.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Anyways. So, yeah, that was the first 3 episodes-ish of Discovery. Wait, what else happened? Oh, wait, the monster episode was the 3rd one, right? We barely covered that one.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't as wall-bangy as the first 2 episodes. Yeah. But there is some... No, actually, there's a bit in there of... If okay, so even if we are going with... Michael did feel she could be a rule breaker before, but then everything went to hell, so now she feels she's recommitted to being the type who always follows the rules to the letter, as she makes a little speech to the captain of the Discovery. Why does she do that bit where she breaks the rules like 6 hours before that to sneak into that one lab where they're growing spore stuff? Like, she could have just not done that. There was not even a really important reason she needed to sneak in. She was just, like, curious.
I mean, admit it. Okay, yeah. God. I mean, just
Top secret stuff going on here. Just like, just like, go find out what's up. No, I'm Michael. I don't care. And then it's like, but so are the Geneva Conventions. And you're like,
you booby-trapped a body.
You booby-trapped a body. Do you remember this?
That's a rule going back to the First World War. I mean, admittedly, they made those after the First World War.
Okay, but still
took a while. The origins of that dated back to the First World War. Actually, they probably did that before that. You know what? I'm going to shut up now.
There are various overlapping rules that may or may not have been enforced at various times at various countries against each other, etc. I know back in the Civil War, they used to do reprisals on captured forces, which was, if we find out that the rebels have killed some of our forces who were captured, we'll kill an equal number of rebels that we've captured.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, it's horrible, but, you know.
Yeah, well, later it became illegal to do that, even in case, like, now the new thing is, okay, after the war, you go find the guy who did that shit and you put him on trial for war crimes. But you don't kill off, like, some other dude who didn't do that shit, who happens to be on the same side.
Yeah, what the hell, man? Anyways, that's the first 3 episodes of Discovery. Overall, Discovery has a lot of potential, but it's still kind of shaky in these early days.
Kind of rushed, kind of good effects and everything.
Yeah, but you can't really say good effects anymore. Because
everything's got good effects.
Everything's got good effects. I mean, Babylon 5 didn't, but that was just because it was an artifact of the era. Yeah. Everything has to have good effects if it's going to get basically greenlit. Good effects, you can't even say effects were decent anymore. You can't even do that. It's not fair, you know.
You know what I would have liked, and this is just a minor thing, but...
All Might as the captain.
All Might as the captain. I am here! Yeah. No,
Fear not, person who sent the distress call. I am here!
No,
with the rest of my crew.
But especially in our version of events where we don't meet the ship Discovery until, like, half a season or a full season in, it would be neat for the very opening bit to be a monologue about the concept of Discovery and pointing out that it's not just about discovering neat and pleasant and interesting things. You can discover really scary and terrifying things out in the universe, too. Mm-hmm. You'd be like, oh, that would put, like, a different kind of a spin on the meaning of that title. And then there's a mystery in our first season where we're trying to discover what the hell the Klingons are up to, mm-hmm. and it would seem to fit. And then we have an actual ship called the Discovery, and it would fit even more. That'd be nice. Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess I'll go maybe see the rest of it. We have time.
Sure.
Maybe catch up on Steven Universe. I hear there was a Steven bomb this month.
Oh, there's more Steven Universe?
Yeah, we go see if they did something better than Legs from Here to Homeworld. I hope so. I hope it got better after that.
Look, we all know that all we need to do to defeat Homeworld is to bring the one natural predator of gems to Homeworld. As revealed in that comic, All Might is the one enemy of all gems.
All right.
No, I'm not even kidding here. You think that this is a joke where I say, and then coming a riding Gurren Lagann punched Pink Diamond in the face.
That would be cool, too.
Okay, well, yes, it obviously would be very cool. But, like, I say that sort of shit. That's the kind of thing I do on this show. I say, okay, here's my analysis, and then something stupid but awesome. No. In one of the comics, they actually had in the background a guy that looks exactly like All Might's depowered form as a scarecrow. Which makes me think that, yes, and considering the gems help set this up, and that other things that scare the gems were in the cornfield, too, like scarecrow versions of Yellow and Blue Diamond, this only increases my suspicion that All Might is the one natural defense Earth has against diamonds.
Gotta make it fanfic. Alright. It's fun.
Yes. Anyways, so we'll check that out. Anyways, I'm Sith King.
I'm Sonic Sons.
Signing off.